Hello, everyone, and welcome to the program. I'm Seun Okinbaloye in Lagos. President Buhari is back in the country. President Muhammadu Buhari returned to Abuja earlier today after a four-day working visit to Turkey. The president held bilateral meetings with his Turkish counterpart, Tayyip Erdogan. He also attended the meeting of the Group of 8 Developing Nations, the G8. And now to the business of the day, and this actually concerns the business community and you as well, in case your bank account is not linked to the BVN. Well, the Federal High Court in Abuja ordered the Central Bank of Nigeria and the 19 commercial banks in the country to disclose all accounts in their custody and the balances in such accounts. The court also made an interim order directing the banks to freeze all the said accounts by stopping all outward payments, operations, or transactions, pending the hearing of the substantive application seeking the forfeiture of the balances in the accounts to the federal government. All right, let's look at it this way. Why the BVN? Going by sections 2D and sections 47, subsection 2 of the CBN Act 2007, the Central Bank of Nigeria is trying to promote and facilitate the development of efficient and effective payment systems for the settlement of transactions, including development of the electronic payment systems, which gave birth to the regulatory framework for the bank verification number, BVN, operations and watch list for the Nigerian banking industry. And here are a few background information to guide you. The BVN was launched in February 2014 and expected to correct some imbalances in the banking sector, but majorly to deter fraud incidences. So there have deadlines and extension of deadlines, but as of October the 8th, 2017, the central bank had issued 30,511,506 BVNs. As we speak, millions of accounts are still unlinked to the BVN. Those accounts are to be disclosed and funds in the accounts to be forfeited if unclaimed in 14 days. And now, let's bring the lead prosecutor to the federal government in at this point. Chief Obono-Obla is a senior special assistant to the president on prosecutions. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Many thanks for joining us on the program tonight. Let's begin the conversation. Why is the federal government and the Attorney General office making the decision at this time?
Yes, this policy was introduced not by this administration. It was introduced in 2014, and it has been on for the past 3 years. And so anybody who has not linked his account with BVN has violated the policy. The central bank is the regulator, and the central bank made that policy. And anybody who is law-abiding should comply with that directive. Anybody who has not complied with that directive means that his account is fraudulent, and so whatever is there should go to government. Look, in this country, sometimes people give the impression that our laws are very strict. Our laws are not even as strict as what you find in the U.S. In the United States of America, if you do not operate a bank account for 3 years, all the money in the accounts goes to the federal government of the United States of America. So that is a regulation. It has to be obeyed. We are all law-abiding. Government is a regulator of the economy, is a regulator of the environment. So I see no reason why anybody should not comply. After 3 years, a lot of timelines were given, and some 46 million accounts have not linked to the BVN. And these accounts are used fraudulently by some dishonest people to indulge in money laundering. Look, I am in the office of the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation. Every day we have requests from whistleblowers concerning accounts that are not linked to BVN. Accounts containing a lot of money running into billions of naira belonging to nobody. So we are fighting corruption. When we say we are fighting corruption, I have been making this point that fighting corruption is not all about catching people and throwing them into prison. It's all about prevention is better than cure. You know, so we have to put in place policies to fight corruption, to block leakages, to block loopholes. So that is one of the policies of fighting corruption, this BVN.
Well, if you will tell us, I'm very certain that there must be something on the minds of the federal government when this decision to go to court to get an interim forfeiture order on some of these monies. But do you realize that it is not everyone whose account is not linked to the BVN that is perhaps fraudulent?
Well, let me throw the question back at you. If government came out with a guideline or a policy or a regulation or a law in 2014 that you must go to the bank and link your account with BVN, and some Nigerians have refused to comply. The question is, why have they not complied? Well, they have refused to comply. There is a presumption that these accounts are fake. These accounts are fraudulent, or that is why they have refused to comply. So you don't expect government to sit back. Government must take action to ensure that these accounts are closed, or government must take action to find out who are the owners of these accounts. Why have they not linked these accounts with BVN as directed by the Central Bank of Nigeria, the regulator? Under the Money Laundering Act, every account must have an identification. The holder must have a passport, must have an address, must have present receipts to show that he is maybe paying electricity bills, water bills, and so forth and so on. So it is a law. And if you do not have an identification, the banks are not supposed to allow you to do any transaction with the bank, or open an account, or have a passbook, or even a corporate body too. If you cannot present your certificate of incorporation, the bank should not allow you to open an account. So all these policies are put in place to prevent money laundering. And there is a lot of money laundering activities going up in Nigeria. I will never absolve the banks from the endemic and pandemic corruption we have. The banks promote corruption because they know these accounts, they know people who bring money into these accounts. So, and some of these accounts are fake. They don't have owners. So nobody is linked to these accounts. So government should close these accounts.
Okay, I mean, because you're a lawyer, and I'll perhaps throw this legal perspective to what the federal government has done. The interim order that has been gotten by the federal government looks to me like a decision being made for a certain reason. Has the federal government seen a situation that it wants to guard against? Because if you look at it, it looks to me that there is a plan to get an interim court order for a permanent purpose.
No, I do not think so. The order says every person who has been identified with an account that is not linked to the BVN has 14 days to make a representation to the courts, to file an affidavit. When you are given an opportunity to be heard, to file an affidavit, to state your own side of the story, then you have to avail yourself of that opportunity. That is fair hearing, which is fundamental, which is a cornerstone of our constitutional jurisprudence. So everybody who has been given an opportunity to be heard, he has to go back to the court, file an affidavit, and say, these accounts belong to me. If you are able to establish that this account belongs to me, then the court can leave the interim order. It's just an interim order to maintain the status quo ante, pending the hearing of the motion on notice. The motion on notice is to give everybody who is affected the opportunity of being heard. So there is no finality about that order.
Okay,
it is an interim order.